and welcome to a special episode of Knit All the Things. My name is Laurel. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry, and here. If you're new, this is a space where I talk about all the things I'm knitting, all the things I want to knit, all things yarn, just all the things. And if you're returning, welcome back, knitting bestie. I can't wait to catch up with you. In this special episode, we are going to talk about 25 knitting patterns for the spring, summer, warmer weather. And I'm really excited to share with you. There's pullovers, vests, tees, tanks. These are warmer weather garments. And I also want to point out that they are size inclusive, and many of them I'm sure you haven't seen yet. So grab your knitting, get cozy, and let's go. I want to talk a little bit about yarn selection when it comes to these warmer weather garments. I am really a fan of blends for the springtime, particularly a cotton blend, a silk blend, a bamboo even blend, a linen blend yarn. These often lend themselves to be a little bit lighter weight or more breathable yarns, as well as have a little bit more, you are able to use them in a few different ways to create garments that are better for the warmer weather. I also, when I was looking for these patterns, looked for, I want to say, fingering weight, sport weight, and DK weight. I don't believe that I went any heavier, although I will say what I'm wearing today is a worsted weight sweater, and it is knit with cotton yarn, and so it is not so warm. So it would be a great option for you. Another tip that I wanted to give you guys, and this is especially for my knitting besties, I want to share with you my tip on how to elevate these spring knits. I wanted to introduce you to Luisa jewelry. I am really over the moon about them. Luisa jewelry is my new favorite way to elevate my spring knit fits. They are hypoallergenic, high quality, water resistant, and sustainable brand. I am also going to say they're very cute. I picked the Lev necklace. It also comes in a 14 karat gold plated version as well, which is absolutely gorgeous. I'm just a little bit of a silver girly myself, so I picked this one. I would say very versatile. So even on this necklace, you'll see on the chain itself, there's different spots to hook your clasp, and that will give you different ways of wearing the necklace. You could wear it more of a choker or lower cut. So if you have those spring knits that have a nice V-neck, you may want to wear it a little bit lower, and it'll really kind of show off that neckline. I also chose the Wesley earrings, and these ones are really special because there's a couple of ways you can wear them. All of the things that I really am drawn to have a little bit of, multiple ways of wearing them or using them, and you'll find that with the patterns as well. But for these ones, there's little earring charms. So you can actually remove this pretty silver puffed heart and then just wear the earring by itself. And it's a very cute hoop, and they actually have on their website that's just dedicated to earring charms. You can pick a cute little starter bundle. In the starter kit, you get the hoop that has stones on one side and it's plain on the other side. You have a moon, and then you have the puffy star, which is I think my favorite. And then you also have the floating stone to go with that. So there's a lot of different ways to wear their jewelry, which I absolutely appreciate. They look absolutely beautiful because they are plated with high quality materials. They're gonna last a really long time. You are gonna also notice that they have a ton of different options. They even offer solid gold jewelry items. So I do hope you check them out. The website is analuisa.com, which I'll put here, and there is also a link in the description of this video. So make sure you check those out to elevate your spring knit fits. Okay, let's get into the patterns. The first pattern that I wanted to share with you is the Fade to Beads tee by Poppy Vergara. She has such a way with using beads in her knits. This is a top-down tee that has beads dispersed throughout, and there's also it's a circular yoke that really looks so flattering on so many people. I really like that this has a lot of interest at the top, but then is a nice stockinette, so it's going to be really like a nice traveling project once you finish the beads to like finish it up in that stockinette. I really think that this could be a really nice tee using a silk or a, again, plant fiber yarn. She uses fingering weight yarn, and the gauge here is 26 stitches. The next up is the mock neck vest. This is by Trico Meringue. It is 2 lace weights to equal a sport weight, and the gauge is 23 stitches. This is a top-down garment, and I really liked it because not only can it be a vest, you can layer it, you can wear it as a tank by itself. You could also decide to not make it a mock neck and make it a crew neck to make it a little bit more versatile that way. I just really thought it was a nice fitting garment, and I really can't say enough nice things about it. Next up is the Creative Garden top. This is a pattern by Sol LaRue, and it is a fingering weight pattern with a gauge of 22 stitches. I, for one, really like this pattern a lot. I think that it looks like little tulips coming up from the bottom of this top. You could definitely wear it as a top. You could wear it as a vest. I think there's multiple ways in which you can style it. You could have it more cropped. You could have it longer. I think there's a lot of options. This one, I think they even have directions in the pattern for the cropped or the long version. So you do have some options there with guidance, if you will. Next up is Emeralds. This is a pattern by Knitting for Breakfast. I love their designs. This one in particular has a beautiful lace yoke followed by some color work, and I thought this color work was so sweet. To me, it looks like little flowers, and I thought it was really nice. I also really thought their fade was beautiful. I believe they use a yarn that does the fade kind of for you. The top is knit top down, and it's a circular yoke, and you could again make this a long sleeve or a short sleeve garment. Okay, next up is the Van Briggle Henley, and the cool thing about this pattern, it's by Ann Hansen, and the cool thing about this pattern is that it's a lightweight fingering. The gauge is 25 stitches. There are multiple options again for this one. You can make it a tank or vest. You can have short sleeves, you can have long sleeves. There's instruction for all of those options, which I think is very helpful instead of having to kind of figure it out yourself. It is a beautiful pattern. The little stripes that you're seeing are little tiny lace kind of panels. And so it is just a very delicate, I think very feminine top. Next up is the Spellcaster. This is again by Ann Hansen. The yarn that she used is a light fingering weight, and the gauge is 26 stitches. This one I think is really cute. You could make it a few different ways. You can make it long sleeve, which is great for the springtime, but you can also make it short sleeve. And I thought the really nice detail in this, I really liked the lace at the top, and I really liked that it also had it on the sleeves as well. I always love that, is a nice little touch. The next pattern is the Candlewick cardigan. This is by Elizabeth Nihoniho, and it is a more, I would say, fitted cardigan. And this makes me think that it would be super cute to make it almost like a twin set, wear it with a tank. You could also wear it with a dress. I think that it really is quite versatile. I love the pattern on the body. I think it's so pretty, and it is called the Candlewick cardigan because the motif reminded the designer of a candle flame, which I thought was really sweet. And I really like that this has some twisted ribs, so it gives it a little bit more texture and a little bit more interest. Next up is the Coastland. This is by Elizabeth Smith. I thought when I was looking for patterns that this particular one was actually crochet. It gave me the crochet feeling, but it's knit. So you use 2 different colors. This one's a little bit of a low contrast, but you use 2 different colors. There is a striping of the 2 colors in this one, which might be a little difficult to see because it is lower contrast, but then you use your contrast color also for the sleeves, which is really pretty. And if I didn't say, this is a DK weight tee, and the gauge is 20 stitches. Next up is the Pavuk vest by Teti Letzak, and I love her patterns. I always feel like she has a very interesting approach to her designs. This one in particular is really nice. It's a beautiful vest. It is made with fingering weight yarn. The gauge is 26 stitches, and it almost gives off a little bit of a tee, like a V-neck tee vibe to me. So because the shoulder design is a little bit oversized or over the shoulder, it can give off a kind of a T. So I wanted to include it in this video, especially because I feel like it's quite transitional. You could wear it with something underneath, you wear it over a dress, you could wear it cropped, or you even have instructions to make it a little bit longer so you can continue that color work and make the top a little bit longer if you wish. Next up is the mini cardi. This is a pattern by Marie Rainier. I really love her designs and this one does not disappoint. Again, this is kind of that cardigan that feels like it could be part of a twin set. I'm gonna keep saying that, but I really feel like this is kind of a newer, like where the trends are going. This is a fingering and lace held together to equal a DK weight. The gauge is 19 stitches, and I just thought that the stripes were so sweet. I also really think that you could gather up your fingering and lace leftovers and make a really beautiful scrappy cardigan with them as well. I think would be really pretty. Next up is the Melody sweater. This is a pattern by Claudia Quintanilla, and Claudia always has gorgeous designs. This one is really pretty. You have a twisted lace motif, a twisted rib lace motif, and it's on the top of the yoke, but it also is on the hem, which I think is so cute. I think it's adorable. And it also continues on to the cuffs of the sweater. This one, I always am a fan of the kind of mirrored. Again, having something in the yoke and then having it mirrored down at the bottom of the sweater, I always think adds just a little bit to make it even more special. Next up is the Wrap Me. This is by Meiju Kaleo, and I chose this one of all the wrap sweaters because I really loved that the cardigan band and the ties were on the thinner side, so I feel like it gives it a little bit more of an elegant look. I like that the sleeves are not oversized, but there is a little bit of movement there. And I just think that the finishing on this particular pattern is so beautiful. The yarn used was a sport and a lace weight to equal a sport weight gauge, and the gauge is 22 stitches. We have the Geo sweater. This is another one of those multi-purpose patterns. It is by Soo Hyung Nam, and it is a fingering weight sweater. It has a gauge of 24 stitches, and this has multiple kind of ways that you can knit this. So I think you could knit it many times and get a very different sweater each time and really love how it looks. So you can make it as a tee, you can make it as 3/4 length sleeves, you can have the body be straight, or you can add waist shaping, which I always think is really nice because especially if you're wearing a garment that's going to be a little tighter to the body, having that waist shaping is just going to be so flattering. Then we have the Mandry cardigan. This pattern in particular, it's by Natalie Peliek, and this particular pattern I love. I thought it for many reasons, but one of the reasons is that it comes in sizes 12 months all the way up to an adult, and an adult with the 62-inch bust. So it has a huge size range. And this particular pattern, I like. It's an oversized lace cardigan. I really think that it has an elegant look, especially having the lace, because it is lightweight. You can wear it, in the summer or around in an evening situation. It is a DK weight and the gauge is 16 stitches. So you could get this done fast, even though it's a little bit of an oversized cardigan. Next up is the Suzukaze by Ririko. And I love Ririko's patterns. This one does not disappoint. It's 2 lace weights to equal a fingering yarn weight, and the gauge is 19 stitches. So it has a honeycomb stitch, so it's quite open. I love the drape of this one. I really like the sleeves. So the sleeves, while they are not puff sleeves by any means, because of the ribbing on the sleeve, it gives kind of that look just a little bit. Very understated, very elegant. You could also switch up the yarn a little bit if you can get gauge, but you're gonna want a lacy fabric for this to really have that full effect. Next up, this is kind of like, I would say, one of the sexier patterns, if you will. This is the Ophelia blouse. This is by Tamara Jordan, and it's a fingering weight pattern with a gauge of 24 stitches. It is a top-down pattern, and it has short row shoulder shaping. There is waist shaping. I love the little buttons, like everything about this I love. I love the little lace around the edges of the top. I think everything about it is just absolute perfection, and it's just so feminine and beautiful. The next pattern to talk about is the Erla top. It's by Valentina Bogdanova, and this one I thought was so beautiful. Has the twisted kind of lacy pattern. It is a top down knitted top, and it has a lot of these little special touches. The scalloped neckline I think is really pretty, and it has like both the pattern in the front and the back. So either side, like either way, it's gonna just look very elegant and beautiful on you. And I really thought that the back of this knit was very interesting because it has a almost special little panel in the back. This pattern is just absolutely gorgeous, and it is shown in a silk blended yarn, which I think is really pretty, and it really definitely shows off the design. The Ipazia pattern by Knitting for Breakfast, I love. And I chose this one because it made me think of flowers. The lace pattern in this one is so pretty, and it reminds me of just big, bold flowers. And I think it would be very beautiful in a few different yarn weights. The recommended yarn is a DK weight, and the gauge is 21 stitches, but I think you could play around with that a little bit. And as long as you're getting gauge, maybe do a fingering and a mohair, or, you know, play around with it. Maybe a blooming sport might work really well, but I thought it was such a beautiful pattern. And this one, again, you can knit it short sleeve or long sleeve, and you have a lot of different options. The Air Tee by Ozetta is one of my favorites of all these patterns, and it's because it's so simple. It's not just a plain old tee, but it can be. I feel like this is a cool girl tee. Hear me out. There is a really cool construction going on here, and in the very back of the shoulders, it looks like it is knit sideways, and then you knit the rest of the body. I just really like this construction. I think it's very clever. It gives off, again, like I said, I feel like it's a cool girl tee. So I really like the fit of this one. It's just a loose tee, has looser sleeves, so I feel like it would be very comfortable and it would look really nice on a lot of different body types. The Movement Tee by Lily Kate France is our next pattern, and Lily Kate makes so many beautiful designs. It was hard to pick just one, but I did pick this one because I loved the stripes. I think it's really fun and playful. There's a little eyelet detail that gives it just a little bit something else. I really like that she decided to start her cast on and her cast off on her sleeves all in that contrasting striped color. I think it just adds a little something, and it really gives me like marine vibes, seaside vibes. I really like this one a lot. It is a DK weight pattern, and the gauge is 20 stitches. Is the Beaufort 5. This is by Isabel Kramer, and it is one of the more popular patterns of the ones I'm recommending, but there's a reason for it. This cardigan is absolutely gorgeous. It has a slight texture to it, and I really like all of these like different aspects of it. I feel like this is the cardigan that you're gonna run errands, or you're gonna go somewhere and you just always the one that you go towards and always the one that you grab. All the little details I think make it so beautiful. It has the textured pattern. It has a really nice, I wouldn't call it necessarily a button band because I don't know if this buttons, but it has a nice like collar to it, and the even cuffs have an extended ribbing, which I always think looks really nice. It just adds that little extra something, and Isabel Kramer's patterns are always beautifully done, and this one does not disappoint. It is a sport weight, and the gauge is 21 stitches. Next up we have Lenu, and I have mentioned this pattern briefly before but haven't highlighted it. This is a pattern by Enkestrict, and the yarn weight is a DK weight. She's using a lace and a fingering weight, and the gauge is 19 stitches. What I absolutely love about this design is it has beautiful shoulders. It has a nice lace panel down the front, but rather than like mirroring the front and the back and making them exactly the same, the back has its own panel, which I really like. It's definitely, to me, is a very sophisticated design. It also, there is a balaclava design that she did that kind of goes with this sweater. So you could definitely knit both, have kind of a hoodie-like vibe. I really like this one a lot, and I just think it's so fun. And if I didn't say, it's a DK weight 19 stitch gauge. The Sea Aster sweater by Zinette Knits is really gorgeous. I picked this one for a few different reasons. It's a fingering weight sweater. The gauge is 21. It's a fingering weight sweater. The gauge is 26 stitches. I liked this one because I felt like you could do it a lot of different ways. You could knit it like she has, where she's used a variegated for the flowers, and the main color of the sweater is a solid color. You could switch it around where you have some busier yarn variegated or color changing for your main color, and then have a bold tonal or solid color for your flowers. You could also use a color changing yarn for your flowers. All these different options I think would be really fun. You can make it long sleeve, you could make it short sleeve. I feel like there's a lot of ways to go with this one, and the kind of flower motif really screams spring to me, if you will. Next up is the Astra sweater. This is another one of those like kind of plain designs, but has so many things going on that really elevate it. So this is by Molly Conrad, and it is a fingering weight sweater. The gauge is 26 stitches, and she has really beautiful details on this one. The cuffs and the hem are a folded hem style, and there are lateral braid stitches on the sweater as well that just adds that. All these little details I think makes them so nice, and it really elevates the design. So while you might be making a plain sweater, you're really not. There's all these little details that really elevate it. And last but not least is the Promenade blouse. This is a pattern by Cadry, and I chose this because it is a DK weight, but there's lace stripes, and the gauge is 21 stitches. So you have a very like a peak of skin, a little, I feel like this is kind of a flirty, fun top. You can do the long sleeves. You could probably modify it and do a shorter sleeve. I really think this is so pretty. It's a circular yoke, so it is very like straightforward. I really like this one a lot, and I really think that it would be super fun to knit, especially stripes. Anytime you knit stripes, you're just kind of going next stripe, next stripe, next stripe. And I really think that's nice. So I hope you enjoyed these styles. Again, please check out Luisa jewelry to kind of elevate your spring knit fits. The link again is below in the description. If we're not yet knitting besties, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, and please like this video because it tells YouTube that other fiber enthusiasts like yourself enjoy this type of content. Until next time, make some yarn magic. Bye!